And actually, if you take a look, you'll be seeing this in this first moving here. Everyone on that north side, they're going to be launching first. They're going to be landing. Ven and Joe, they're going to be the last team to land. And that's when they're going to have the opportunity. Because they're able to extend that launch pad as far as possible. And then they save themselves so many materials. Because everyone's already on the floor, right? Everyone's already landed. So you have zero risk of ever getting late landed on. Because you're the last team to launch pad, Shayo.
Absolutely. It's also a barren desert, a wasteland. There's not going to be too many mountains or anything around the city of Chonker Speedway to land upon. Everything here is going to be player built. So you're absolutely correct. Leaving as late as possible will give you one of the highest points of elevation you can latch upon. Sunny Chapix have to leave a little bit earlier because we're towards that backside. Base up, go for a few shots. They have another launch pad to leave this position as well, but they're just trying to farm as much damage as possible. Now you hear the gliders in the sky. They're popping left and right. 200 damage as well for Seti and Chapix. You're looking for a little bit of freedom towards the clouds. They find it. You can see the overview right now. Lots of mid-ground positions. One definitive team on height. Seti's looking for a little bit of a higher elevated base as well. As you look towards the other side on low ground, it's Savage and Benji. They're going to be towards the backside of the zone now. Still finding trouble getting in, but the spicy splash dropped down towards the feet, making things hot. Feisty, fast, and speedy. Good for both teammates. They're slightly separated too. It's Kuriachi that Benji takes down as he moves across the cars and the dirt on the ground. They're looking pretty good so far, Boot, but they have a long ways to go.
I mean, he had almost zero builds then. All of a sudden, Kuriachi just into the box, back up to 80 as you get this nice little panning shot. Benji still stuck in the backside of zone. Yet again, a result of a little bit of late rotations as he has to progress through all of these old builds. He's going to be very careful. Savage is going to try to elevate themselves away from this spot. As we have a high gun battle, you have Pink and Anas trying to go up on top of there. And these guys, you know, they don't have the most aggressive playstyle, but when it comes to those late moving zones and zone transitions, they love to go on top of it. And they do have Spider-Mans. They do have the momentum to go back up, and they have it for free now, going to 8th moving zone pretty damn soon. And I like the easy spot for them.
Absolutely. Pink actually uses the web shooters to go forward, negate the fall damage, and then build all the way back up, reconnecting the high ground, stopping the weakness of these builds. It's absolutely genius. Past that, Chulex Chico looking for a little bit of revenge on any aggressivity happening towards the top side of this map. They're going to be looking to maybe take over height. Vino and Joe all the way down low. Don't have any launch pads left anymore. Savage actually going down in the feed with trading rotary, so I'm not sure where first place is, but they're still alive, but they're having a little bit of trouble in Paradise. Joe and Vino, though, they're denying everyone on this low ground towards the forward side. They're going, just landing shots left and right. Floki, Hook on boxes right beside each other on the backside as well. A little bit of calm for every single team as the zone moves again, but Floki denied on low. It's tough to heal. Hookah wins that one. And then Pink up top with Anas are still looking good to reign on high grounds.
Yeah, now it is time for the big impact factors for Bendo and Joe. 4 eliminations already with the zone pullback, so it's going to be a little bit tough because you see them on this logo, but you're going to get smothered just a little bit. They do find the toes of some players. They find another one. This is crazy. Good tags coming through. They do have those flashes. They can tank zone just a little bit, and he does go for it, but unfortunately, I think that's only going to be Cypher materials. Yes, it is, because those players will completely scuff the backside of zone. They do have those flashes to go back up, though, and you know, they're making use of the inventory very well here, Shayo, and they still have 10 more seconds in the zone transition.
They needed the mats. It might just be a little bit, but it gets them a little bit of more space to survive. And Vino shoots another shot again, lands a big one. Not going to get the elimination. Mappy on the backside now. He's also out of mats. They're running towards almost uneditable builds. They have to break it through. Double swinging with a pickaxe is going to be looking good. A little bit of ammo picked up from the backside. Mappy going down. PKR also denied. Pink is still raining absolutely bullet after bullet from the high ground. And Nas is holding on to it still. They haven't been challenged. And now we're down to 5 teams. Pink and Nas, absolute control of the lobby right now. No one can even breathe. But the map gives people a chance to fight each other on low. It's going to be that Speedway warehouse that everyone has a chance to just kind of wrap around, and armored walls pulled up by Vino and Joe to give them a little bit of a situation on the right side. They have a path. They're moving in. Bedness popped. This is so constricted. They have no space to move, and it's an entire diner they're going to be walking with on the right side. The person right in front of them, it's Default that gets bobbed inside his own hometown. Vino now looking for the siphon. Does he get it? Yes, another player on his front side. He denies it too. Somehow Vino and Joe are alive. The final 2v2. Can they make this happen? It's amongst tyrants all the way on high ground who had no interruption so far. A big shot from Vino and the spray. 30 HP, and he's still finding a way to have a conversation, a voice inside this battle, but the spray comes down. There's no build to hide behind. You can have the best aim in the world, but it's not going to stop Pink and Anas from getting that win.
That was a valiant effort done, Logan, by Vendo and Joe. You know, there was chaos down there. 4 players just running around with no materials with their heads cut off. And Vendo and Joe, they come out on top. very well played game there from Dan. And Pink and Anas, you know, very good fundamentals. Again, taking height on that zone transition. A bit of a lucky zone pullback there for them, considering the material count. You see them finishing this game on 0 materials. And that's a good victory royale there for Pink and Anas. And, you know, these guys are warriors in these finals lobbies. I love it.
Absolutely. It feels like, though, even for me, after watching that game, me and you might have to go outside. I can barely breathe. I thought I was getting sprayed.
It is hot.
And a Nas from high ground. Seeing Levin and Reese, are you feeling the heat? That was insane.
Well, shy wager for some of us who can't handle the heat. Got to get out of the kitchen. But nope, I'm here. I'm still hanging out. I am dying, but it is okay. I will hold on until my very last breath. My goodness. Guys, this felt like a semi-final round, but like a light version of that. So many of these different duels just executing exactly to perfection. Now, there was a few flubs, I will say, along the way, Priest and Levin, but overall, I'm very pleased to see, like, the seriousness from Qualifier 1 to Qualifier 2. You can tell duos here are like, no, I want that top 8. I don't want to go to semifinal. I just want that seed up front.
Yeah, I love the way you went, you know, there were some flubs recently, like, where the flubs, by the way, like, watch your turn, mate, watch your turn. Look, I'll be real, this is what we talked in the first game about how, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Those are two teams in the final zone where they didn't have the best first games by any means, but there are two teams where the expectations for them were high. Pink and Anas, one of the best final lobby teams in the region. The way they play high, very, very good. They have a great understanding. Execution can be off at times, don't get me wrong, but they got the right things done in that game, and hopefully now moving forward, they probably won't have that many teams contesting them up on high.
Fingers crossed, let's be real. But you never know. You've got guys like Queasy who aren't here, who's just hype. Yeah. That's it. That's why when I think of hype, yeah, that's it. But for Pink and Anas, like, they are game winners, like you mentioned. Out of the 3 cash cups they made the second round of, they won 2 games each. So these guys are capable of winning matches. I'm slightly a bit more concerned about the games that they don't manage, right? 3 good games is roughly what I saw from Qualifier 1 to get you into that kind of top 8. Obviously with a couple other points, no one. That with 7 eliminations is absolutely fantastic. It's already a ticket.
I'm still seeing these duels, man. They're struggling with Storm Surge. I mean, you look back to, like, Benji and Mr. Savage, right, who then get gifted the Storm Surge duel just falling into their laps and just being eliminated. Transfer complete, but as we take a look at our overall standings, they're still holding down that #1 spot. Now, there was a little bit more of a gap coming into this game, but for right now, we're seeing these other duels, right? They're meeting them, right? They're looking to answer back and say, look, that's fine if you want a spot, but you better be aware we're going to join you up there.
Yeah, look, it's one of those things where I think we all know that their early game fundamentals are there. End game, yeah, they got stuff to work on, but mid game as well can be a bit dodgy. The reverse caster curse from Boot coming through on that one was pretty funny as well. I think the big thing for them now is probably hoping they can get a bit of zone. Like, let's not deny, right? Of course, teams will prepare, teams will have great fundamentals, this and that. But sometimes you need a bit of zone luck to go your way, and so they probably won't want many more south zones if we're just being real. But if they do, hopefully they can use that first game as sort of a learning moment on how to handle it.
Yeah, I think the one thing to mention is that he managed to catch curse RNG. I mean, like, how has that happened? Positive caster curse RNG, that's fantastic. But, and a good team, obviously, we hadn't really picked on too much was Vino and Joe there. The absolute off at the end, taking them up to second place in that match. We didn't see them in the top 10 there. The leaderboard, they're roughly in that kind of 11th, 20th place right now. And that's just because of that bad first game. If they keep this up top spawn, this is going to be...
Yeah, the way they maneuvered, you know, in the same game was really impressive. We talk about the chemistry, the synergy. This season, the things you can do with your teammate by your side are just incredible. You can see here the edits, both of them ready to fight for each other. I think when we talk about confidence, we talked about it at the top of the show. These guys are more confident than a lot of their opponents, and that really shows up here. Of course, they did just sort of get caught out at the end, you know, thinking he was safe from above, and so he went for the hill or whatever, and it just sort of didn't work out. But for the most part, man, I would not be worried about their first game being a bad one. This is one of the best teams in the lobby, and they've shown that over qualifiers so far.
I mean, confidence absolutely sums it up. We saw in the previous round, we mentioned they got 4 games in a row where they got double-digit eliminations. The third one on that was particularly interesting. They went down in 30th with 20 elims, so 16 elims. There's only like 4 people in that game who weren't eliminated by them at that point. They were absolutely fragging out, and they've carried that confidence here into round 3, where they've obviously managed to pick it up in that second place there.
So good, man. And just think we have another 4 games out ahead of us. But you heard the buzz, which means we're getting ready for game number 3 of Qualifier 2. So for now, we're going back in. Shall we?
Game number 3 is the game of opportunity. It is now your chance. You've had 2 games to make mistakes, and now it's the 3rd one. It is due. It is the time to do it all, Shayo. Who do you expect to come out on top this time?
For me, I mean, slight bias here and there. I'm liking this Benji Savage situation we got going on. If Pink's on height there on low ground, that'd be insane. I want to see Mustache Malabuka keep popping up. I want to see Lecce and Swilliam actually get their game started as well. But before that happens, Floki and Clement, this has to be a chance for them at redemption. Another Tonker Speedway breakdown and 4 different teams.
Yep, good landing here for Floki, and it looks like he jumps into the trash there for some reason. The Ranger AK version of Stinger is not good enough. I mean, it was like fighting with no arms, basically. He had no chance in that situation, and that was an easy elimination.
Let's go, they suck.
I don't know where Floki's teammates gone. He seems to have disappeared off the map here.
I think Clement definitely having a little bit of issues on that drop, but it's all good. We'll get Lecce and Swilliam a little bit of the beef up, a little bit of the jump up as they get their fights and early games started. They still have a long ways to go. Teach them some art skill as well. This is the team I wanted to focus on for so long because I've been watching this team specifically in Cash Cups and whatnot. They've been some of the most consistent overall. When it comes to early game fighting, this is what they have the lockdown with. Art skill right here. 1v2 and still is able to deal a little bit of damage. T-Chips is there though. Is this just Harpoon? Okay, so he has to pick up the MK7.
Has the right hand peak though.
Trying to look at this one. I don't think his opponent knows he has an AR, right? But I don't even think he used it once.
No.
It's kind of crazy. That team, that duo is just so adaptive, and they've kind of been under the radar entirely, right? That might not be household names completely, but they've put a little bit of a footprint, even if I could say, into EU this season so far. So I'm hyped to see them in this qual, hopefully making that top 8.
I mean, this is a season of opportunity, right? We've gone from, you know, an old chapter, an old map, to a completely new meta and a completely new map, right? And we're going to see some fresh faces. I mean, these guys aren't super unknown, right? We've seen them before, but, you know, I'd love to see, you know, some of the old guard, you know, being switched out with the Neil, and we'll see some new names coming through as we move over towards Cobra Canyon. Joe and Veno this time are contested. They do have height here, but they got to be careful because there's a player lurking, but Veno's awareness is just ridiculous. He gets a nice little shot through, goes back to the Pena now from behind. He's pinched, but you got to be a little bit careful here because Joe's down to low HP here.
Vino still wrapping a few shots. There's you were saying that Vino and Joe are contested. I feel like it's Pena being contested right now. I feel like they're the ones who they might even drop here, but they're getting absolutely beat down. Pena outside this wall, he has the control as well on all pieces around him. Still has a little bit of trouble eliminating Vino completely. It took a little bit of time to try to let Joe get an angle here. Oh no, first shot predicted miss. The next one, 72, landed. That bullet finding its mark, and it's trouble now though. 1v1 and a little bit of that separation. No team really profits from this one.
Yeah, and Joe, you gotta do me justice here. I was hyping him up the game before, you know, one of the best fighters, one of the best creative players in the game, and now he's stuck in a 1v1 situation for his tournament life here. But Anderson Pink, they're here, and this is what I mean. Anderson Pink, they land on the mountain nearby, and Joe unfortunately goes down. And Anderson Pink, they're here to reap the reward. I don't think the vault's been opened either yet, so Anderson Pink already have 10 choke splashes, and they're about to get a lot more this game.
They're still rolling. Is this their usual route as well when it comes to Covert Cavern, right? Are they the ones actually chomping down on Vino and Joe? Looks like there might be slight differences in the way they're rolling in, but they're reaping all the rewards of the most powerful spot on the map.
Yeah, they don't usually jump into Cobra Canyon. You know, they sort of stay on top. Usually the fights in Cobra Canyon, they take a long time. You know, other teams are going to get the vault card, and they're trying to get that vault. Other teams are going to be, you know, nearby. A lot of the time you split it up multiple directions, but Pink and Anas, you know, if there's an opportunity there, they're going to take it. You know, these guys, they know the spot in and out. They've done it before, and they have the entirety of Cobra Cavern. You'd think they've already looted the vault with the loot that they have, but they're going to be getting even more this game, and they already have the surge set up as well. This is going to be a spicy one for Pink and Anas, Shayo.
Absolutely. They basically brought like their own lunch to the restaurant. You guys have like 2 meals to eat. It's kind of insane. Benji and Savage though, right? You're talking about being wealthy for the moment right now. They're the ones kind of in the driver's seat completely. 89 points rolling in. The team behind them, 78. 4 of T-Chips and Art Skill rolling through. I feel like the one good thing about Benji and Savage right now is every game that they end up winning and winning more, the second place team behind them is the one that has a little bit of that curse. They get pushed back a little bit, and no one's kind of able to catch up with them and keep it close enough. 10 points, I mean, in this format, it seems close right now, but that gap can really widen over time.
Yeah, and it's also the benefit of having a pretty much set spawn plan, right? They know that there's no one else in Tilt. It's only them and Kinzo and Deceptos, I believe. So there's nothing really that can go wrong for them. Unless they fight Kinzo and Deceptos all of a sudden, there's no reason for a team to sort of go into Tilted unless they're planning on doing some, some different things there. So they'll be able to be consistent and, they have no worries there, Shayo.
Absolutely. And Boop, you called Game 3 the game of opportunity. It looks like Pico and Machi so far haven't had theirs reign in so far. I mean, these guys are good fighters. Pico's one of the most insane players when it comes to box-to-box, pound-for-pound weight, in these sides, close-range box fights and whatnot. What do they need to do to get back into this competition?
I mean, they're doing what they need to do, right? They're going to try to play aggressively, trying to get those early eliminations of Spawn now. They have teams that are nearby. I believe they were contested last game, but this game, is this the same team? It's very hard to tell, actually. It seems like it is, yeah, it is the same team from Joneses before, so this is not actually a push. This is them chasing them out of the spot. This is about alphaing Joneses here, Shayo. They do not want the team landing next to them yet again.
Absolutely not, but that fight is going on for a little bit, so we'll tune in with it in just a second. Sunny and Chatfix, I mean, we talk about Stormclear's this, going for damage.
Headshots are so
it's still
lucky.
kind of early on inside the game. You'll see people still fighting for their spot right now. It's pretty basic Fortnite so far till teams start to disengage. Even at Sleepy Sound, usually for the fast disengagement there, that's going to take a while to come through. And yeah, the Joneses, I mean, it's lasting so long and it's so loud that I see a third team on the minimap now kind of attracted towards this fight. And if you introduce a third party to this one, it's going to be absolutely chaotic.
Yeah, and it's sort of about how you decide to play, right? There's two main parts of Jones you can land on. You can land either on the north.
Uriah, why aren't you talking?
Whole final, basically, a little bit too much over aggression. You can play a little bit emotional, that's fine, but you gotta think about your own gameplay, your own finals in the end. You do not want to be throwing your finals just playing a little bit too emotional, trying to chase the team out of it because you want to alpha them. But at this point, I think it's already too little too late. They're gonna have to commit to this fight because the material count and the shield count here is not looking too hot.
Not at all. I'm watching some funniness from Machi. He's just rolling in and just slowly crouch walking, going for an SMG spray.
Ooh, and
just disrespecting the opposition. I like it. I like the emotion that comes in right now. And at Joneses, you'll see that third-party team completely disengaged. I think they also, maybe they were watching and seeing exactly how this fight was breaking down. It was a little bit too, Jenga tower falling over gift for them. They just got left as fast as possible. I don't blame them at all.
Yep, and SC here back to these spawn fights near that orchard spot. Joe, I mean, he got eliminated by Anas and Pink, unfortunately for him. And that's them gone in game number 3. Anas and Pink, I would love to see that loot at some point, because right now you think they got the ball, but so far they don't have it. Pena managing to run out a little bit.
God!
Gets caught there with Anas and Pink in the box, and that's not what you want to have there from them as we go back towards Chonker side, I believe. And there's still a lot of aggression going on here. Both teams still trying to fight it out, but Alex and X3 is here, trying to, loot up the materials. They do land nearby. Looks like they need to up the metal count here.
Absolutely. I mean, by the time the second zone's coming in at this point, every time I look at the mini-map for a lot of teams, I would not see a big name on it at all. People are usually outside of the name POIs fighting in some weird mid-game skerfuffles, right? But that's not happening right now. It seems that people are not getting out of their off-spawn fights fast enough.
Yeah, and you take a look at the player count as well. 74 people left alive. This is sort of, like I mentioned, this is the time to do things, right? So you have to make a difference. So people are trying out different things. You're trying to third-party different spots. You're trying to get more eliminations early on, because it must be very frustrating to be eliminated by Storm Surge every single game. So these guys, they're making the decision, hey, we're just going to jump in and we're going to get a quick elimination on spawn so we don't have to worry about it later on. But this is yet again another South Zone. And looking at Pink and Alice's loadout there, again, very, very good. But another Storm fight coming through here with Stompy and Jew coming from that Bugle side, I believe. And then all the way into Sanctuary now, running to another team here, Shia.
It'll be tough for Stompy and company because, we just keep seeing this pattern. A lot of the times, it's an extreme as to where the zone is pulling. They're going straight all the way down south. Max resources going to be expended towards absolutely thin right now. Even Pig inside the Storm, he's having a little bit of trouble getting all the way in. I like the fact that you pointed out aggression is going to be so much more different inside Game 3. Limited player count overall. People kind of, you know, they might even expect certain spots to be taken.
There's no
or,
way
you know,
in hell
the
that's
regular
making
thing you might be
space
expecting
for
to
my
happen
build
inside the
like
game
that.
might not be there. It's going to be a very different landscape for a lot of teams.
Yeah, and this is probably the worst zone for Chompy and Ju there to sort of storm fight in this position, right? Because it is so far away from them, and there's not too many points for you to beef on your metal, so you need to be careful here. And looking at the map there bottom right, you look at how many teams there are on that rotation. So much congestion right into Chomp, because all of these guys trying to beef on the metal. And if you're late on this rotate, it's going to be tough. I don't think this zone's going to pull all the way towards the water side, because it doesn't tend to do that, but you never know. So it could be lucky, and there you go, Storm Surge is going to pop up for the first time. 4 players need to be eliminated until that is gone. About 415 above Surge here for Iwazumi and Older, our third place team. So they're in a pretty good spot so far.
They are. When you talk about, you know, where the zone can't go, whenever it's on broadcast, it goes straight to the water, man. I'm telling you. It has like an affinity for it. I don't know why, but it happens. And it seems like wherever Benji and Savage go, flames follow. Another house has been completely set apart on fire.
I think it's the same one, Shayo. I think this is Butterborn, and for some reason they have a vengeance against this Butterborn. But yet again, you know, take a look at the Storm Surge. I mean, this is almost the exact same zone, right? So again, Benji and Savage not really learning from the mistakes of last game. 37 below Surge here, and there's not going to be a team to jump into the box this time to help them out. As Benji and Savage here trying to trade some Surge, they do have a lot of minis. And for those of you that don't know, there's a pretty good strategy that a lot of these duos do. They basically, actually never mind, because Savage is going to pop his big pot. Not really sure why he's doing that. Oh. Oh, there we go. So what a lot of teams tend to do, they try to stay on 150 HP, and they try to use those minis over those big pots, right? Because big pots, they're not expendable. You only have 2 or 3 of them in total. Minis, you have 6 in total in your inventory, right? So you have a lot of your HP. You're basically trading your HP for Surge in this situation, but Savage not doing that. I guess he feels a little bit scared, maybe, for another team trying to push them. And I feel like this is deja vu. This game is, you know, the same zone. Benji Savage below Surge yet again. Potentia, Casper also below Surge. What am I saying here, Shayo?
I mean, if that is the case, then Vortex and Casper have about 2 minutes to live until they get pumped twice in the face. So hopefully it's not the same game for them so far. Benji Savage, though, getting bullied. They didn't really see this POV that much in the last game. We saw them rotating in and not having the worst of times. But it feels like Vortex and Casper, they've learned from the past.
Bro, what the?
One of the best spots right now to bully an isolated team, and unfortunately it is Benji and Savage on the other side. 11 points for them, 89
How
for
does
Benji.
he not have to
Savage
reload
in
his
first
SMG?
place and want to keep it going.
Yep, and this is again that little bit of psychology, right? 74 people left alive. Even if you're, you know, only 50 above Surge, you know, you're gonna think surely it's not gonna be us that's gonna be taken out here. And you never know, if one team gets taken out here, Benji and Savage, they could go below Surge. With the other team that's below Surge, you know, the way that it works is all about thresholds, right? So you gotta be careful, because one team that gets one extra tag, it could be you being below next. And with Benji only being on 95 effective HP, this is such a scary position to be here.
Absolutely, it's that domino effect completely, right? For all the teams. One team gets further up, everyone else comes toppling down. So you want to make sure you're up keeping with that flip. And right now, Yaizen, I mean, he's in trouble.
I mean, look at this. I mean, okay, I gotta be careful here, because I'm new to this casting shower, so I didn't realize I had such an effect on how zones pull.
I'm telling you,
and this zone has pulled straight towards the water of Chomka's side. So, worst case scenario for a lot of these teams. This is, I mean, it's gonna be a painful zone for these players, but it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch, I'll be honest.
Absolutely is. Unfortunately, too, this is one thing I've noticed over casting a little bit and watching these zones move. When you're down on Surge and your zone kind of moves even more so where all teams are, it becomes a statue situation. You're not able to watch anyone else kind of move out of their boxes.
Bro, this
you're in
game,
so much more trouble than any other situation if you're bad on Surge. You just saw it with Kaizen right there. There's nowhere to go. One team ends up hearing your shield get cracked, roll in, pops out. You do not want to be low on Surge when it's kind of a statue type zone. You want, when things kind of get, you know, constricted, you see it coming, to be proactive, get on your fight fast. I think we saw it for the first one. I forget the duo that did it, but it was done to one of the teams that were a little bit higher on elevation. They just straight up pushed in. It might have been Pan that we saw get right inside the box. I believe beam up. Yeah. You want to be able to be proactive and not wait for that zone to close. Right now, it's all in for a lot of teams. Jox, Skyzoo, have to push inside, wait for this fight because they need the damage. They're in that statue situation. No other team is going to allow them to deal damage to them at all. They're just going to be hiding, turtled up inside their boxes. Now it's going to be unfortunate completely. Another situation where Surge is the demise of Jox and Skyzoo.
I think these guys got their GPS settings installed incorrectly because they are on the wrong side of the storm here. There's so many players on this northern side. And even Benji and Savage a little bit later to close there. Look how many players there are on this edge.
Tell me
It's
where
pretty
he
tough,
was
but
looking
they're
at,
gonna have to use a lot of
and
it
tell
to
me
account,
how
but
he
the
shot me.
Savage with that 200 IQ, going to be very smart going along this
Let
ridge
that
line,
make
you know,
sense.
cutting
Come
off
on.
line of sight,
Let that
being
make sense.
unpredictable. Maybe he had a little bit of mind games there too. He showed himself to the left, went right to the right side, and he's a bit of a magician acting from Savage. You know, trying to confuse an opponent. So unfortunately though, getting get sprayed from below, he needs to be a little bit careful. And now is the time for them to just be careful, just to wait. It is mellow time. You do not want to be editing. There's so many players around. You want to wait for these metal walls to fully build out before you make any sort of moves. And I don't want to call the zone, but it is going to actually pull towards the right side. So away from the water, thankfully for them. And we are going to be saved here from another water zone here, Shia.
The question is, are there any pads for Savage and Benji to maybe bounce on and have an easier way inside zone? I see that Anas has one inside his inventory. If that's the case, once again, we're in the desert. We saw who the Pharaohs were last game, right? Anas and Pink. They stayed up top. They let that family lineage kind of rock from zone to zone to zone to zone. No one could really dethrone them. And they're looking to do it again. An armored wall available for Anas as well. So if anyone tries to go for that chop down, that spray all the way upwards, he has that extra layer of protection and another beam inside the box. So not only looking for height right now, Boop, they're aware of every single edit going on around them.
Yeah, so what they're basically doing is trying to hold as many people away from them on this high ground, right? Because if you shoot at players that are trying to rotate near you, they're not going to box below. They're going to try to rotate away from you in this position. So
He
what
was
they're
not
basically
even
gonna do is
looking
gonna
at
set you
me!
up to have less of a chance of someone sneaking up towards high ground if you do pull half an amp here. And I want to talk about the inventory just a little bit. They had 12 Church Passion. I believe they have 6 more in the inventory of Anas there. So what what these guys love to do, sometimes they like to, sneak up below high ground and try to take it away that time. So maybe if I get a few fortunate zone pulls, you might see them make a storm play with those chug splashes because they're very variable. They can heal you up when you're in trouble, but they also are there for those big IQ plays on high ground.
Absolutely. Right now, you might have to toss IQ straight into the bin. Savage and Benji have to just use their feet. Stop thinking, start moving. Spice is also in effect, so they move at double the speed. Question is, though, if you do end up going the wrong way, that's double the mistake that happens as well. You're talking about the right, left, the elasticity, the bounce back of this team. They're really making the move, shorting themselves off to the right, sticking to the left. I like that call-out boot, but now they're stuck between walls. They can't really edit through, and it's metal after the fact as well. The peppers are not going to make your pickaxes swing faster. You have to just keep going, and they're getting focused still.
And that's the least of their issues here. 250 below Surge. I don't know where they're going to jump in on. I mean, there's going to be a team nearby, but by the time they're actually into zone, they're going to lose all of their material count. They barely have any hard mats. 160 metal. Oh no. The team behind this wall, they don't know. Maybe all Savage does know. Oh, and he gets taken out there by his team hiding. He did read it correctly, the Savage. Where but Benji in this 2v1 now? What? Still alive somehow. 9 more builds, 7 builds now. He needs to be careful, but I mean, it was all done. It was a valiant effort for Benji, but he's still alive actually. Okay, he's sneaking up, he's being covert, and this player is on low HP. He does get the wall behind him. I don't think this player realizes. Sneaks back through, and does he know it? But Surge, he does know he's there, and Surge is gonna take him out. 24 HP, and he cannot heal up anymore. Surge is gonna be the one who takes up Benji and finally somehow survived the absolute anarchy there of multiple players in this box, but there's one thing that is true, and Storm Surge eliminates all.
Absolutely. You can't build past it, you can't hide away from it, and he was out of mats too, unfortunate. Art skill, that POV we just dipped towards, that's going to be second place looking to take that gold beam and add it towards their inventory to have that luxury. There is no first place team alive right now who can take that title.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the half-nap zone here, Zone actually does pull, I believe, on top of Pace and Hammer. So all that setup they did prior to set up the high gun is probably now going to be good for them. I'm not sure what layer they're on. I think they're close by, but like I said, you do not need to go crazy on high gun in this half-nap, Shia.
Absolutely not.
Girl, you fly and ghetto with them brand new high heel stilettos. Smell like rose petals. Heard you a rock star, heavy metal. Well, I'm a pop star. Let's get together. Ice your neck up, change the weather. She a hot one, like a pepper. And you fly, girl, shake your feathers. Girl, you
Mamma mia! flashing me for nothing. Oh my gosh. Dang. Can't edit. Bro. What the hell? There's no way in hell. Oh my. How can I run numbers to 3 digits? No, I did.